Hey, good evening. Welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, with the way things are going in America at the moment, I get quite a few letters from men who are thinking of doing what I did 7 or 8 years ago and running away. Well, my reasons for running away were that I really couldn't see how I could continue living there. I'd lost everything, so I was kind of at quite a low. I was living in a warehouse, come art gallery. Wasn't a great situation. Then I had a good fortune. And I was able to move into a house which I shared with somebody. So, but already the rot had really already started, and things just didn't seem so good to me. And the letters that I'm getting now are very much on the same line of people who just wish that this pandemic would just quit, so that they could come to the Philippines. And there are a lot, but there are others who are questioning whether it will be the right thing to do. Doesn't matter, you know, there's some things that you can talk about that will never end up being past tense, as in talked about. Oh yeah, we did a video on that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times it's talked about. It doesn't matter how many times you go over your sharing of your experiences here in the Philippines. If you're talking to somebody who is thinking about coming, it's all new. And especially for those who we gain subscribers at quite an interesting rate, and it's I mean, for instance, if we do a live talk, we may gain 10 or 15 subscribers in that one session. So we have a lot of new people coming in, and they're motivated by a focus and an interest in the Philippines. And with men, it will always be focused around whether they can meet someone. And for many men, it is that they have already met someone from the Philippines, and they're now thinking about coming to live in the Philippines permanently. So that's what seems to me to make sense to talk about. Now, what's it going to be like when you get here? Well, you probably will say no to this. But I think it's true, is that when you're in America, when you're in Australia, when you're in the UK or Germany or any of these places which seem to gravitate towards the Philippines as a retirement situation, when you're in those situations, when you're in those countries, you are leading such an ordered life. Now, when I say an ordered life, if somebody mentions a book to you in America, and you say, that sounds like a good book, what's the name again? And you write the name down, and then you stop by the local library. Well, when I was in Florida, the local library was kind of like a 2-star, 3-star hotel. When you walked in, it was a beautiful library. I lived in Fort Myers. I think it was Bass Road. I'm not quite sure. I don't retain all of these memories like some people do, or maybe it's my age. But I would walk in there, and there were people to ask me how they could help. In Fort Myers, especially because that's where my experience is of Fort Myers, there are people who are retired, but still thinking productive people, and they're not going to get a job, but they want something to do. The library is a very good place to actually get occupied and have a productive kind of few hours in the day. So you get some retired person come up to you and ask you if they can help, and usually they can, because that's their desire, is to help. You can go to a desk and they will tell you what you need to know. You need a book. You can order a book from another library. They'll put your name down, and when your name comes up on the computer, they'll send you an email. It's all so orderly. If you go to the transport department, whatever that's called now, they're there to help you. You take a number, you wait, they call your name. It's just orderly. And if you go out on the road with a bad tail light, you'll get caught. It's orderly. And if you don't pay your fine, if you don't pay your ticket, then you will get a follow-up penalty. And if you don't pay that ticket, you'll get another follow-up penalty. And if you don't pay that ticket, you probably might even get arrested. So you have people who are there to do jobs, and they're doing them. And in that situation, your life takes on a certain pattern. It's a little bit like looking at the map of New York, and it's on a grid system. You go this way, you're going in one direction, you go that way, or what is it? The streets go one way and the avenues go another. It's just so organized. America just has it down. There are people there who do things which cost money, and they do it just for the fun of it. Now, so what will you find it's like that if you come here? I can talk from being in a very busy, when Beth and I first met, we moved into a tiny little apartment for a few thousand pesos a month, and it was in the ghetto. You went along a very narrow entry, and you could lose yourself. In fact, when Beth was at work once, I went out and I went a walk, and when I came back, I couldn't remember exactly which entry. We're talking about a little entry that was the size of a doorway almost, and that's all it was. I went up a couple of those, and of course I was the complete dumble foreigner, because somebody saw that I didn't belong in that particular alleyway that I'd walked up, and said, "Can I help you, sir?" And I said, "I'm lost. Well, where do you live?" And the names didn't mean anything to me. So I went through some confusions. It didn't all go perfectly when I got here. So don't expect it all to go perfectly when you get here. When I got here, I walked out one day and I used to go to a little restaurant, a little tiny Candelaria, and sit on bare boards, on a bare board table, and have a meal for, God, probably less than $1. And can you edit this out, honey?
Okay.
I used to have a little meal, and as I say, less than $1. And very busy time that I went out this particular night, and I got knocked down by a jeepney. I got knocked on my arse by a jeepney. Luckily I didn't hit my head. I went back onto my back. Actually, I thought, what can the jeepney do? It's not going to run me down, is it? And that's exactly what it did do. Put my hands out like this onto the jeepney.
water, and then the water. Here, some water.
Thanks, son. Well, I went out one particular evening and a very busy intersection. We were at a T-junction, very, very busy, traffic everywhere, and instead of stopping for me because he couldn't go anywhere, the jeepney decided that he was going to continue driving, and I'd always stepped into the road using my foreigner logic. Well, what's he going to do? He's not going to knock me down, is he? Which coincidentally is what he did. I put my hands out like this and went back. Fortunately, I didn't hit my head. So that I got bitten by a dog on the face, little nip, it drew blood. I had to go for those very, very painful injections at the insistence of Beth, who was working in a hospital, so she took me along there. So, did it go perfectly? No, it didn't. We ran out of money because we had one of my pensions from the US, I think it was, got stopped. Told this story many times, but it illustrates that things can go very wrong here too. But we survived all of that, and we moved to what Filipinos call the province. If you're in Cebu, it's a big city. It is a big city, and there's a lot of people and a lot going on. And yeah, if you've lived in LA, it's probably people-wise, it's much busier than that because it's tighter. So, we'll assume that you're going to take the easy way and go to live in the province because you can live cheaply there. You can live relatively cheaply, right? Right now, tomorrow morning I'll go and I'll do my Sunday driving job. I'll bring some kids into church, I'll bring the family into church, and then I'll shoot off to Talabon, and I'll go down there and I will enjoy meeting my friend Michael, who is a Mancunian, an expat, lived in New Zealand. When I went to America, he went to New Zealand, and then we both arrived to meet in the Philippines. Well, I go there, and at breakfast, an American breakfast, what we call an American breakfast, bacon, egg and French fries, and a couple of slices of toast and coffee. That's my closest to an American breakfast, and it costs me between $3 and $4, 200 pesos about. So I'm in a very nice restaurant, a tiny little place, but a very nice restaurant, very nice people, treated very, very well, and very comfortable. And we sit there and we chew the fat for an hour and a half. So I have my friends. Now, if you're coming over here, it's one thing that you must understand. Once you've allowed for the fact that you're going to live in a totally, comparatively speaking, totally unregulated way of life, it's just not the same. Every day has a meaning when you're in, I think, when you're in America or you're in the UK. You know, there's that Monday feeling, and oh boy, hey, do you know what day it is? Oscar Brown Jr. used to say, it's Friday. Here, and I've talked to other expats, the days may not mean anything at all. I broke my watch when I got out here, when I got to Bohol. My watch stopped working, and I took it in, got it repaired. I don't even know where it is anymore. I don't wear a watch. Why would I need it? You'll laugh when I tell you that if I need to know the time, I look up at the sky, I look at the sun. If the sun's directly overhead, I know it's about 12 o'clock. And about 10 to about 12 o'clock is good enough. So things are going to be different. Now, the one thing that you need to understand, and that is that you will be alone a lot more. Now, even if you're surrounded by people, you're going to be alone. When I go into town, Taliban, that teeming metropolis of Taliban, which has got one set of traffic lights, largely ignored, no parking spaces, and hundreds of motorcycles and tricycle taxis. If I drop my car, my truck, or whatever, at the mechanic, Nestor's, which is up near the traffic lights, I don't walk down to the town, which is all of a kilometre. I get a tricycle taxi, and it's 10 pesos. 10 pesos, okay? So it's hardly worth counting. I give more than that because I think, oh, well, it's not really worth it for them to do it for that. And I'm grateful for the ride. So you think in different terms. If you're in, well, you must be in the pandemic, because that's the word. That's the letters and the tone of the letters that I get right now, which are with a sense of desperation, certainly a sense of loneliness, and just fed up is how people come across. I was hoping to find, I couldn't find the letter, but someone had written to me and said, this is just in the last couple of days, wrote to me and said, it's getting really difficult here. Not quite sure where he came from, but he said, it's getting really difficult here. It must be in a fairly built up area. You know, we're not allowed to go out, and we're not allowed to do this. You know, he's afraid of the vaccine, the quarantine thing, and the different rules, that the masks and all of that. You know, if I forget to put my mask on, I walk from the truck where I parked it, and I'll walk right up to the bank, and the guard will say, your mask, sir. And I go, oh damn. And they expect me to wear that silly visor. So I put the silly visor on, and I put it up here like this, as if just haven't pulled it down yet. Nobody tells me anything. Nobody says anything. Nobody's going to, what can I say, rebuke me or scold me, or they'll be very polite. And as I said, if I go into town, I don't actually know anybody. I mean, I know a few people who say hello to me, hello sir, and I'll call them sir, but everybody knows me. Now, why do they, not because I'm the famous Terence, but because I'm one of the few foreigners that they see. So they see me almost every day. They know me. And you will be known. Now, the way that our days go is probably not how your days will go, or the way that our days will go. It's more high profile, more noticeable. We're out there working with people, helping people. We're out there building houses. Beth and I, by the way, don't hammer nails in, okay? Excuse me. We don't hammer nails in, but we make it happen. And we're doing that, And strangely, a lot of people don't like this. They can't believe that you're doing what you're doing, and so you have to get used to that. And so we can be opposed, we can have complaints against us, and we do have complaints against us, and they're not founded in anything, but what people do is they make a complaint. Excuse me, I have got a bit of a cough. They make a complaint that leads to somebody getting in touch with the police, and then the police send somebody up and talk to us, and that's the end of it. So, if you came and you behaved in the same way that most of the expats that behave, I don't think anybody would probably even know that you were here. So at worst you might have to go every 2 months, or if you can get one of those 6-month visas, that would be great. Or you can do what I did, and you can go and you can pay a bigger lump sum. It probably cost me about 10 or 15,000. I've forgotten. What do I need to know that for? I think I paid 9,000, and then what did I pay the second time when I went and picked everything up? And maybe 5,000 or 6,000. So whatever it cost, it was worth it, because now I only have to go once a year. So I go once a year, and as long as I haven't been out there killing people, or I don't know, running over policemen or something, they just stamp it and say thank you, see you next year, sir. So you could come and you could have that kind of a lifestyle, and as I say, you have to get used to the idea that you're the foreigner, which you may not be used to. I was used to being a foreigner anyway, because I'd lived in Australia and I was a bloody Pom when I was there, and I lived in America and I was a bloody Limey when I lived there. So I'm used to being a foreigner. Even when I went into the army, I was a foreigner, because I was an English-born Irishman in a Scottish regiment. So I was a foreigner there too. I'm used to being self-contained, and so this is something that you might have to ask yourself. How self-contained are you? Do you need the company of people who are talking to you all the time, including you, inviting you? Do you need to be able to go out to pubs and I don't know, karaoke restaurants? Do you need all of that? Now, when I was a professional musician, believe me, I got completely burned out on the whole idea of going out to see a band, or to go dancing, or to do any one of those communal type things. I didn't need to do those anymore, because I'd done them to death. I'd played at too many weddings, I played at too many bar mitzvahs, birthdays, anniversaries, just works, dues. I've done that to death, and I don't need to do it anymore. Beth and I do not have a nightlife. We're here, and actually I'm still working. What is the time? What can I tell you right now about what the time is? It's 12:33 at night, and I'm still working. Beth is over there trying to see if she can find the right place. Well, a combination of things. She's sitting on her desk. I didn't design it for sitting on. She's sitting on her desk, and she is alternating between learning her talk at the church for tomorrow and trying to get the Wi-Fi positioned just so it gets a signal. Now, so being alone, without being lonely, being able to appreciate very simple things, being able to understand that you're in a foreign country, being able to understand that it's you that's the foreigner, being able to understand that the traffic is not the same, being able to understand if you drive in the dark, you will probably run over somebody, because the Filipino way is to drive in the dark with no lights. If you think that I'm joking about this, go on one of the expat sites where they will be much more vehement about the whole thing than I'm being. But Filipinos will not spend that money, especially on such trivialities as a backlight. And even if they have a backlight, the brake light doesn't work. So when you suddenly find yourself driving up the rear exhaust pipe of somebody because they were not slowing down, it's because they don't have a rear brake light. So all of these things are there. If you go to any government body, you will get in line. But here's the good thing: if you are a senior, a state registered old fart like I am, if you go to the bank, this is very unfair, but it's totally accepted without rancor by any Filipino. If you're an old fart, you go to the front of the line. Okay, so they'll have a special little desk which says seniors only, or seniors preference, and pregnant women, and another thing as well, disabilities of a different kind, or the third kind, or whatever, and you go up there and they'll serve you. So it's different. People will call you sir, not out of any great what is it, they're not going to put you up for knighthood, it's just the way that they talk to you. So if they know your name, like people call me Sir Terence. The Queen doesn't know about it yet, and I'm sure that she'll be quite shocked. But actually, it's what they do. And no matter who I speak to, I call them sir. And if it's a lady, I call her ma'am or miss. So, you know, that's the way that it is. But you can come here and live quietly and not be bothered, as long as you know the rules, and you can learn the rules. We've written about them and talked about them on our videos so many times that if you've got the pandemic on your plate at the moment, you can spare the time and you can go through those and through the videos of others. I like to think that we deal with some important subjects. I've seen other expat sites and they've talked about there's no doorbells, that the houses don't have a doorbell. We've tried to go a little bit deeper than that and talk about relationships and about how you get along, and hopefully like what I've been talking about now, that there is a sense of isolation that you'll have to deal with, and it can be dealt with, and it's not the same as being lonely in, say, America, believe me. And here, anybody in the street will help you. I went in, I cited this example, I went in to pick up some materials, and while I was there, here you go to a tiny shop, you make your order, pay for it, they give you a slip, and then you go down to the warehouse, drive into the yard, and they'll load your truck with whatever you bought. Well, I'm busy tying it, and I'm tying it around this end of the truck. When I come around, somebody has tied a little flag, you know, a little bit of a little doodad on the back of the piece of 10-foot material that I had hanging out the back of my truck, and it's very kindly tied it up there and it's all ready to go. I said, thank you very much, sir. And it turned out that he doesn't even work there. He's just standing there, sees me doing what I'm doing, tying up the truck, and he realizes he's going to need to have a little flag on there, and he does it for me. So I find that people are incredibly nice. They're incredibly nice to me. And I go out in the morning expecting that that will be so. So it's not hard for me to think, today I'm going to be incredibly nice to everybody, because I know they'll be incredibly nice to me. And that's life in the province of the Philippines. Hope this helps a little, and I hope that things help and improve in those Western countries where everything is now becoming extremely disorderly. Bye for now.